Lisa Curly Malice here, and welcome to a special edition of Ask Me Anything Q&A. Today I'm going to cover 3 questions that listeners sent in on common time management problems that I hear from my clients all the time. I'm hopeful that you'll find something of value in at least one of these 3 scenarios. So jumping right in, the first one is, I find I'm procrastinating making reach out calls to potential clients. How can I stop procrastinating? I know that it's causing me money. And this comes from Diane. All right, so here's the deal, Diane. Everybody procrastinates. It's a fact. We know that. The secret is to realize you're procrastinating and then figure out how to overcome it. And you want to shorten that time up every time that it happens. I have found that people procrastinate typically for one of 2 reasons. Either it's a lack of clarity or it's a lack of brain space. One of the reasons, and you need to figure out which one of those 2 it is before you can create a plan to overcome it. So I'm going to give you a couple scenarios and maybe it'll help you figure out where you're coming from. So sometimes, let's just start with lack of brain space. It could just be that the thought of making a lot of outreach calls is overwhelming and it's kind of getting your brain all over the place. It seems like too big of a task. And you're tired. And so everyone is this huge ordeal when it probably is like 10 or 15 seconds just to pick the phone up. But the part that makes it a lack of brain space is the fact that you're emotionally involved and you're super tired around it, that you can't even think of what your first step would be. If we look at it from lack of clarity perspective, it could be a lack of clarity around who are you making a reach out call to? Or what is it that you're going to say? The lack of clarity also could be coming from this fear of failure piece. You know, what happens if you call and they tell you no? Or what happens from there? And then that piece there, that lack of clarity around, well, what's the worst thing that could happen if you call? Slows down the process. Another thing that could be happening is that you've lost sight of your why. Again, a lack of clarity piece. Like, why are you making these calls? What's in it for you? How does this drive your business? Bigger than that, why are you even in business at all? So when we look at this as through the lens of awareness, work, and evaluation, these questions are all around the awareness side. What are you procrastinating on? We know is making reach out calls to potential clients. And is it because of a lack of clarity or a lack of brain space? And once you identify that, you can move into the W phase or the work phase. And this is where you start to create the solution to get yourself out of it. So when we're looking at a lack of brain space, we're so overwhelmed, we don't even know where to start. We can't even think straight. Many times that's a self-care challenge. It's needing to be able to reset your brain, like meditation or yoga or walking outside, something like that. So part of that work challenge could just be getting out there and relaxing for a little bit. Another piece of it could be around, when we're talking a lack of brain space, it could just be so many distractions around you. Like you can't create a plan, you can't figure out where to start or what to do because your brain is going 50 places at once. A cluttered mind can't make a decision. Maybe you just need to create a brain dump. Just get everything out of your head onto a piece of paper, set it aside. Now you have a clear brain and you can focus on what comes next. Just 2 suggestions if you're finding that you're in a place of lack of brain space. Now let's move to lack of clarity. Lack of clarity, a couple things that you could do. One is create a script. Ask someone who makes similar reach out calls to you to share their script. Like maybe it is truly just a scripting problem. Maybe it's a lack of clarity around who are you reaching out to. Maybe you just need a list of people to reach out to. If you're in that fear of failure place and your lack of clarity is coming from there, One of the things you can ask, and I just alluded to it a couple minutes ago, is what's the worst thing that could happen when I reach out? And then ask yourself again, well, what's the worst thing that could happen from that? So, like, what's the worst thing that happened when you reach out? The person says, stop bothering me. I'm not interested in your services. I want nothing to do with you. Okay, well, then what's the worst thing that could happen from there? You take them off your email list, you take them off your call list. Like, and can you live with that answer? And if the answer is yes, then you're all set and you can reach out. Many times we find that lack of that fear of failure piece, like once we go through it and are like, yeah, all of that stuff, not that big of a deal, I can live with that, makes it easier to move forward. So I'm hopeful, Diane, that gave you a couple pieces to think about, like that awareness. What are you procrastinating on? And is it lack of clarity or lack of brain space? Then the work to create a solution to help yourself get out of it. And then finally, that E phase is evaluation. Just check and see if it's working. If you put in some meditation into your schedule and are taking daily walks and you still find that your brain is somewhat foggy and you have that lack of brain space thing going on, then maybe that's not the right solution for you, or it is the right solution and there's not enough of it, or whatever that case may be. So you want to always go back to that evaluation pieces. Is the solutions that I put in, did they work? And if not, what can I do to fix it? Now, moving on to our next question. The next question is from Mindy. And here's what Mindy has to say. To be more efficient, I set up an online calendar system. But I find I'm spending a ton of time hand scheduling appointments with people who can't find time in my calendar. Is there an easier way? Absolutely, there's an easier way. And I'm going to give you a couple of suggestions, Mindy. One of them may be not that you have a problem with your online calendar system, but you have a problem with boundaries. If you've set up an online calendar system to represent when you want to work and when you want to see clients or have networking appointments or whatever that piece may be, and then you're trying to hand schedule people in, it could be that you just have a hard time saying no. If that's the case, take a step back and really look through an objective lens at your calendar. Is it realistic to work the hours that you've set up on the system? And what are you trying to squeeze in? Why are you trying to squeeze it in? Is there another way to do that? Like, dig deeper into that piece. Now, let's move it away from there and say it's not a boundary challenge. Let's say that instead, what it is there are people who you want to put into your schedule at the last minute because they're huge business opportunities, but you don't have room for them. Then what I suggest is that you first identify who are those people, because not everything deserves a place on your calendar immediately. Know ahead of time, these are the type of opportunities that I will bend over backwards to get scheduled. Have those identified, and you want to create a plan for them. And then the other pieces that keep falling in, create a plan for them in a different way. So here's what I mean by that. Let's say you've identified, look, if anyone who has a business that is in this type of a structure, they're my ideal client, and they're looking to connect me with more of my ideal clients, they automatically will get into my calendar within 48 hours. And then you can identify, all right, these are people who reach out to me often and who are asking to see me quicker, but I really don't need to see them quicker. Urgency on their part isn't really urgency on mine, and I can shift them back to the online scheduling calendar. For those that you've identified that you do want to see really quickly, a couple things. If you're using any type of assistant, virtual assistant, or any type of support staff, you can use them and you can email back to the person and say, I'm copying my assistant Sunny on this, and she will be able to get you scheduled. Now you've taken it away from you. You've moved, so you're not in the middle of that back and forth. You moved it over to Sunny, and then you just need to create some parameters for Sunny around when they can schedule. So one of my clients will leave open in his calendar 4 to 5 p.m. every day for those type of emergencies. Like those can pop in. He also will open up like 7 to 8 in the morning a couple days a week. He doesn't like to fill them. He does not fill them often, but it gives the person who's trying to get onto his calendar quickly a couple time slots that are not available to anybody else. You want to come up with what that looks like for you. But if you are using an online calendar system to be more efficient, and then you're hand scheduling a bunch of people in, you're negating all that efficiency. So you either need more open slots on your calendar, which I do not recommend, or you need to hold on to your boundaries a little firmer so that people are funneled into the right places. Or you can adopt the phrasing of the next available time I will be able to have a conversation with you is 10 days out, or I'm currently scheduling appointments 10 days out, or whatever that piece may be. But I highly recommend firming up the boundaries and bringing in and using some sort of support staff to help you so that you're not hand scheduling. Hopefully that was helpful, Mindy. If you noticed, we went through that same awareness work evaluation phase and that we did earlier with the question from Diane. So the awareness was around what are the things that you're hand scheduling? Then work is how do we create the structure so that we're not hand scheduling anymore? And then evaluation, you're going to pop that in a week or two down the road and say, hey, how's it? How many times have I had to hand schedule? How do I feel about the way my calendar is looking? And you just walk through that awareness work evaluation process over and over and over again. Finally, the third question that I'm going to talk about today is from Gail. She owns a marketing business. Yet she says that she seldom finds time to send marketing out to potential clients. There just seems to be so much pressure to get it right. Kind of like the cobbler's kids having no shoes, I'm guessing, goes with this scenario. And this kind of goes back a little bit to that procrastination piece. And I'm going to go with this is around a lack of clarity. A lack of clarity around what is enough. If the goal is to send a marketing piece out every week, and Gail, you are trying to make it perfect and trying to make it right, and I get that there's pressure. You're in the marketing business. Of course, you want your marketing materials to be first not. If you find that you're scheduling it for every week and then it's pushing out to every month and you're really only getting it out once a quarter, whether it's first notch or not, no one's seeing it. So go back to that lack of clarity piece and make a decision. What has to be in the marketing piece? Let's just say e-blast for now. What has to be in the e-blast for you to feel okay with sending it out? So I kind of think of it as a good, great type of a schedule or a continuum. So, given unlimited time, unlimited resources, everything was aligned. The e-blast would have a video in it. It would have a case study in it. It would have a comparison of um, a couple different types of products. It would have like 6 segments in this video. That would be unlimited time, unlimited resources. It would look like that. Now, let's say what has to be there in order for it to go out. No grammatical errors, I think would be number 1, and all of the links work. And then there's a lot of stuff that can go in between there. A compelling subject line. Maybe you want to make sure you're doing A/B testing, whatever those pieces. Maybe the graphic needs to look, you want a certain pop to your graphic or, something like that. But you need to decide, no matter what, this is acceptable to come out of our office. And unlimited time and resources up here, I need to fall somewhere in the middle. And then take a deep breath, say to yourself, done is better than perfect, and hit send and get it out there. as long as you are representing yourself in a professional manner, that is way more important than sitting on something and never sending it out. So just make sure that it's hitting your baseline objectives and get it out and get it out consistently. It can be hard when you feel like there's so much pressure to get it exactly right to not get it out at all. And so, again, if we go back to that procrastination piece that we talked about earlier with Diane, there's that idea of lack of clarity, lack of brain space. This is probably a lack of clarity piece. And you need to decide what's the bottom line that I am okay with letting go out into the public. And if we put it back into the AWE framework, A is awareness. Why are you not sending it out? And we already know it's the pressure to get it right. Then the work piece is, okay, what structure can we put around that? And what we're saying is, let's put a continuum out there. Unlimited time and resources mean this. Ultimately, no matter what, it has to have this. And this e-blast is going to fall somewhere in the middle. Let's get that out. And then the evaluation, how many, I would evaluate it based on how many eyes were on your e-blast on a quarterly basis and keep comparing them back. Because if you haven't been sending it for a while, you've had 0 eyes on it. You can also evaluate, that's not a marketing standpoint, but which is not my area of expertise, but you can also evaluate on how many times did you get it out on time to know if this is the right solution and strategy for you. So 3 questions from our listeners. I'm here to answer your questions too. If you have a question, please just hit hi@impactivestrategies.com and put ask me anything in the subject line, and I'll answer it on the next Ask Me Anything Q&A. If you know that these are things that you also struggle with and you're looking for a way to get some personalized attention without breaking the bank or without getting in a long-term coaching relationship, I have a new program that we just launched, Time Rescue Analysis. And in this program, what we do is we just meet once a quarter to strategize through challenges just like this, once a quarter for 90 minutes. And then monthly, you'll receive videos and action guides and ideas on different time management strategies that may be relevant for you. And then finally, you have email access. And it's a monthly investment. So check out the Time Rescue Analysis program. We just launched it, brand new, pretty awesome. It's a way to get continual support on a quarterly basis without needing to commit to a long-term coaching program. The link for more information on that, it's a bit.ly link. So just bit.ly/time rescue analysis. The T, the R, and the A are all capitalized. Have a productive, rewarding, and fun day.